Hi, welcome back to Carl and Rick Talk Risk. Rick, how are you?
I am unbelievable.
Put on your serious podcaster glasses as we
Yeah, I've
started.
got my serious podcasting glasses. I'll leave it to you to determine whether I'm unbelievably awesome or unbelievably awful. But anyhow,
I think it'll be good. Uh, Rick, I something we haven't spoken about in a little while is, and that's a topic of interest for both of us, is looking for talent, giving some career advice. Both of us have mentored a little bit. I'm sure you've mentored much more. Yeah, we both enjoy this. So this week, when I came across an article in the Free Press by Tyler Cowen, an economist, I got really excited and I sent it to you right away because it was about how do you find amazing talent. And so I want to start with that article and see where we go in this episode. So Tyler Cowen, really interesting guy, writes a lot on the Free Press. So I will link to the article so that other people can read it. Writes a lot about AI as well, just as a side note. But uh, he started a program, I don't know how many years ago, to spot upcoming talent and provide small grants. And his theory is that rather than, the organizations out there that find a startup or and just dump, a bunch of money on them to develop some idea, he looks for really individuals that are amazing talents and gives them a little bit of money. And one of his ideas, one of his anecdotes is that he provides, um, I don't know if he's suggesting it or he's done it, but to provide travel money to somebody to go and see how people in a certain industry operate, meet some of them, get them exposed to it. That's not a lot of money, right? To travel to somewhere new. Um, he's he's awarded funds to about 1,000 winners of this, and he's noticed some things as he's gone about the program. So that's what I want to talk about. Um, the first one that caught my attention was amazing talents are weird. I know you'll agree, Rick. So he said, look for intensity of interest and focused, almost like an irrational, fixation on some things. Don't worry about social graces. And he was really talking about, he's really talking about young people here, right? Like 18, even not yet graduated high school. Don't worry about social graces. Don't worry about IQ tests. Don't worry that they're obnoxious. Uh, and he says some things can be learned, but those kind of, but some things can't. So look for this really deep interest in some things. And I'm not sure a lot of places hire like that. So I thought it was an interesting idea.
oh boy, okay, not many places hire like that. Now you've lit the fire. Okay, you've got the firecracker going. First off, I think we have to start at the very beginning. Is he's looking for amazing talent? The
Yeah,
reality
prodigies.
is well, not even prodigies. I don't think I would put prodigies as something slightly different.
Hmm.
I think amazing talent is the correct phrase to use. The reality is the vast majority of organizations do not want amazing talent. They want compliant talent. They want good talent.
Hmm.
They really don't want talent that is going to upset the apple cart. I'll give you an example. I've one student from Dalhousie, and University I'm at has a mandatory co-op. Okay, or a corporate residency in the graduate program, and this student is an amazing talent. They go on their corporate residency. They working for a large organization. Basically, their first 2 days, they see three things that could be totally re-engineered to make things much better. And so in their own initiative and basically on their own time, they're given a task to do, they do the task, and then on their own initiative and their own time, they re-engineer these things within the first week, and all of a sudden everyone gets ticked off at them because they realized that this kid has done more in 2 days than they've done in their collective 300 years at the organization. Okay. And well, no, we want to continue to use the yellow pages to look up, phone numbers.
Okay? Yeah. Hey, a quick question for you. Were they given the license to go in and make changes, or did they simply go there and say, "Listen, we're going to shake this up"?
It was some things that were so obvious to them that were such quick fixes.
Okay. So their own initiative more. Yeah.
It's kind of like putting toilet paper in the bathroom, instead of, keeping it down the hall next to the coffee machine. And now, admittedly, I talked to the student about empathy, and it's hard to explain to a 27-year-old MBA student about having empathy for a group of 50 somethings, but you do your best. So amazing talent is very different from good talent. Secondly, it's very hard in university to reward amazing talent. What we want to reward is good talent. And good talent is coloring inside the lines. Good talent is never going to be paradigm shifting. Good talent is, to be quite frank, mediocre. And again, good talent is, for most of what we call good talent, going to be replaced by some form of digitization. So I think first off, we have to realize what amazing talent is. Secondly, when we have I got to figure out how to put this without insulting a large group of functional employees at every organization. But when our HR does not pass a Turing test, okay, when we'd actually be better off having the robot do all the filtering and hiring. Not that I'm suggesting that, okay, but when our onboarding and when our selection and hiring and onboarding process is substandard to a digitized process, then the amazing talent is never, ever, ever going to make it.
Yeah, they're not even going to pass the screening. Yeah.
Yeah,
I get it.
So one of the things that Canada does, and again, here I'm talking about high school students, is I've been fortunate over many years to be associated with Shad Valley, which is a governmental program in Canada where the government more or less sponsors high school kids to go and get embedded at a university over the summer. Basically, it's more or less for a month, and they get access to the best professors, the best labs, and again, not necessarily the best professors, but the most turned on professors, as in the professors who are most excited, most passionate about their projects, et cetera, et cetera. And man, it is really hard not to feel 15 years younger and have 20 times the energy after spending 90 minutes with these kids and their questions and their ideas, and that it's time to dig the grave and lie down in it if this does not fire you up. And they are amazing talent. Now, admittedly, most of them are what we consider the traditional amazing talent, but the thing is, all of them are quirky in their own way. And this
Mm.
is kind of like a month-long experience where they can nerd out, they can quirky out as much as they want, and because everyone's quirky.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I go with what the article says about generally the amazing talent is in some way, shape, or form weird. Being
Yeah.
socially autistic, perhaps I have to say that, but anyhow.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, uh, I had a previous CRO that was very good about new entrants to the team. Were basically given an open license to tear anything up they wanted to, and I liked his thinking because it was just, well, you guys haven't seen this stuff. You're not indoctrinated yet. So, so we want your opinions right away. Don't do that whole, we're going to bring you up to speed. We're going to teach our ways. You like keep your fresh perspective for as long as you can. I think it's nice when a CRO, when a team lead does that because you don't feel like putting up your own hand and potentially getting it bit off. When you have ideas. But it is something to learn there. Do we? Do we want amazing talent in risk teams? Do you think risk teams know how to handle those kind of people?
The
Harness
short
them?
answer is no. Sorry. Do they know how to handle those people? Short answer is no. Do we want risk teams to be 100% amazing people? The longer answer there is no.
Yeah.
Having said that, I believe that by far, first off, I'm very passionate about risk. I think that risk is hyper exciting.
Mm.
I think 90% of risk departments, 99% of risk departments are just bloody boring. Okay. They've got very smart people who have zero passion, zero excitement
No.
for the field. And I realize I'm painting a broad brush, and I realize that is very, very, very wrong. Having said that, because so much of risk, particularly financial institutions, is, in my opinion, not risk management, but it's regulatory management or compliance management or whatever. Okay. Uh, we've forgotten about amazing talent. Like, I hate to tell you,
No.
managing compliance is not amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, and a little bit of spice goes a very long way in taking a boring soup or a boring sandwich and elevating it to a totally new level. And I
Mm.
believe that that's what risk management desperately needs. Is it needs uh, not 100% amazing people. It needs its what I call really good, solid rock of the earth, engineers, financial engineers, or risk engineers, or process engineers.
Yeah.
But does need every organization needs an addition to their portfolio, in my opinion, of the quirky, amazing talent.
Yeah.
A risk department with, or any department for that matter, with nothing but amazing talent is probably going to implode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But uh, the way that most of us go about teaching risk, it's follow the rubric,
Yeah.
follow the bouncing ball, you know,
Yeah.
here's the decision tree type process.
Yeah.
And that's just wrong.
Yeah. I I kind of want to touch
It's needed, but more than that is needed.
more than
Sorry.
that. Yeah. I kind of wanted to touch on something we were talking about before we started recording and try to shoehorn it into this conversation because I agree you are passionate about risk fundamentals and I'm probably not as passionate about the content, but I'm really interested in making things work. I'm really interested in making sure we have the right people to do the job, laying out a plan, being practical about that. I do not like abstract things. I like nuts and bolts. I like making it work. I get a lot of satisfaction from that. And I've tried to touch on this in career advice panels and stuff, but uh, I try to do the parts of my job or pick the projects in my team that let me do more of that stuff. So I bring some risk understanding with it, of course, but like I have certain qualities that I think I'm better at, and I try to use those as much as work at work as possible because that's what I enjoy. And I don't think enough people do that. Realize, hey, I'm better at X and I get satisfaction from it. And I should look for the projects and tasks that where I get to do that as much as possible. And so, you know what? I do this. I sometimes say, listen, I'm going to do all these parts, and I need somebody to pick up the part I don't like to do, or that's going to take me 5 times longer than everybody else, and I get no satisfaction from it. And it could just be that I'm integrating into the Netherlands and being pretty blunt about this stuff. But I don't know. I think more people should take a serious look at that and know what they're good at, know what they enjoy, and try to do more of it. You don't, and I don't think I'm an amazing talent, by the way, either. But I think if you bring that kind of clarity to your work and what you like to do, you can get better and better and better at it, and be an amazing talent in something.
Uh, I wholeheartedly agree. How many? But again, it all comes down to passion. Okay.
Yes.
I will take passion over talent any day. I believe that talent is massively overrated.
Yeah.
Okay. Passion is misunderstood. The sad part is most people go with what they believe that they're talented at,
Mm.
even though they have zero passion for it. And that I believe is kind of sad. Uh, I believe the happiest people are those who are following their passion, even though they suck at it, but they're eternal optimists that they're always going to get better at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Very
like
true.
eventually I'm going to learn the three songs on the guitar that I still, after many, many years, uh, am embarrassingly bad at, but I still believe that I'm going to nail these three songs eventually.
I had a
Uh,
slightly different mental image when you said, it's better to have passion but be sort of incompetent. I had this picture of like a dog chasing a car. I've never seen a disappointed dog chasing a car. Like they're always excited.
yeah, but that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And the dog that sits by a parked car, like I mean, seriously, they've done the job, but
Yeah,
who cares?
the point. Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone loves the dog chasing a car, except maybe the driver of the car who's afraid
Yeah.
that it's going to get stuck under a wheel. But you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, getting back, I really think that we've got a crisis with credentialism and what it means for amazing talent. Okay, we've also, and this is good, warning to those who are part of the PC police, shut off your sound system for 5 seconds. But we've got to get out of this. Everyone has equal talent for everything.
Yeah.
Okay. I hate to tell you, you know, you should not come to me for, dietary advice. Okay. Actually, I could probably give dietary advice, but if you follow, what I eat, you're going to be having lots of hamburgers, chili dogs, and, deli meat sandwiches. Okay. It is what it is. Um, and credentialism, almost by definition, is regression to the mean. And we want those tails in talent.
Mm,
And we've got to recognize, and not everyone's going to be equally talented in everything. You
mm,
know, that's great. Okay. Guess what? Eric Clapton does not have to worry about me competing with him for being a guitar god. Okay.
mm, mm.
It just ain't going to happen. Okay. And I'm cool with that. And I think Eric Clapton's cool with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But a lot of the PC police, I believe, in some ways, are damping down and, in essence, suffocating amazing talent.
Yeah. Yeah. It goes to one of the points that Tyler mentions in his article. Rather than money, a lot of young talents need encouragement. They just need somebody to say, here are your options in life. Here are your career options. Here's what's possible. Yeah, you can do it, rather than, yeah, you're all talented. You could all do it. Yeah, no, like a realistic but positive take on
Yeah.
you can do
And,
this
and,
if you work hard.
and the other thing, just circling back to something we talked about earlier,
Mm,
mainly I talked about earlier, is the article talked about amazing talent is generally weird. Okay.
mm,
I don't know if I 100% agree with that, but let's run with that.
mm.
The number one hiring criteria at almost every place is fit. And by
Yeah,
fit, you are, by definition, coming up with plain vanilla yogurt. Actually, you're
yeah,
coming up with non flavored yogurt, and you can't add blueberries to that, or you
yeah,
can't add strawberries to that. Okay. And while, plain yogurt is good, I don't think even the most health conscious vegetarian, you know, extremist wants to have nothing but plain yogurt.
yeah,
Okay. And but that's where we're driving a lot of organizations. And that to be quite frank is where we're driving a lot of risk management.
yeah, yeah. No, for
We're
sure.
trying to we're trying to force that regression to the mean and get us to that average as quickly as possible without ever asking whether or not that average is good. I mean, in risk management,
Yeah,
we almost by definition abhor tails of any type of
yeah,
distribution.
yeah,
Maybe we
exactly.
ought to celebrate a little bit of tail because just a little bit of spice, you
Yeah.
know, I had to be on a soup diet, for a week. And boy, let me tell you, a little bit of spice can dramatically help
Yeah,
when you're on an all soup diet. Okay.
you notice it all the more then. Yeah.
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 And,
Okay.
would I just want to eat spices? Heck no. Okay. That obviously doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's time we celebrate the amazing.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah.
But of
Uh,
course, I'd hate that because then, I'd never get celebrated. So
yeah. Um, yeah. Okay. Well, I'll share this link. Share your thoughts with us on what you think about Tyler Cowen's amazing talents. Been a good conversation, Rick. Until next time.
have fun,
Cheers,
everyone.
everybody.